Good morning everyone, and welcome back to Craft Eccentricity. I hope everyone has a fabulous day today as usual, and I don't know if anyone noticed, but I wasn't here yesterday, and there's a reason for that, so I'm going to tell you. I was going to do my video yesterday and I realised that my camera was not working. And I tried everything to get it to work, and I went into all my programs and what have you, and I just could not get it to work. So hubby sort of like took the morning off work so we could go shopping for a new camera. And when we got back, I plugged my camera in, put the software in, and then it dawned on me that my old camera, I'd actually pulled the USB out on it because I use a different camera when I'm Skyping my grandbabies. So there was nothing wrong with this camera, and hubby is taking the new one back. And in future, I will remember that when I unplug a USB, I will put it back in again. So if anybody else has to do that and kind of switch cameras, because if I'm talking to my grandbabies, I can't have the camera looking down at the craft surface. I use one that's built into my laptop and it's face to face. So yeah. It's almost like in the morning sometimes I put my piping hot coffee in the fridge instead of putting the cream back, but you know how it goes. Anyway, I'm here today and I'm doing a DIYArtbin project share that I should have shown yesterday, and Tutorial Tuesday will be cancelled until next week. So what did I use? I used one of my favourite tag dies from my stash, and I used a bag of bits from DIYArtbin, and I haven't poked those out yet, so I'm very naughty. And to go along with that, I used some St. Valentine's, which is red StazOn. Now, I got this one when the product was being launched and it hadn't had all its labels put on yet, so mine was like direct from the factory because I used to work for them. So the colour is St. Valentine and it StazOn, and I've used Distress ink in broken china, and I've also used a blending tool. I used a white gel pen, I used a pickup tool, I used a pokey tool, and I used some felt grass ribbon, which is also from Aliexpress. And now I'll show you what I made. So here is my tag. Now you can see I've used the broken china on the background, and I've actually used Touch 5 markers to do the little birdie because it's, well, I'll put my finger there, such a small little birdie, and I will measure this. And there's her dress. Now I'm sure if some of you already have this die, you're going to want to know how I managed to achieve that detail on her dress, because if I grab the die and show it to you, you can see that it will emboss the pattern. Now, quite a few people will cut this out, they'll have the pattern embossed, and then they'll think, oh my goodness, you know, how am I going to get the design on a dress? Because I've made this true to the actual image on the website, and the dress is this kind of like very thin red and white sort of check gingham, plaid, whatever you like to call it. So this is what you do. Going back underneath here and getting the Valentine red StazOn, I use a brayer. Now, first of all, the reason that I use StazOn is because it doesn't bleed, okay? A lot of inks and distress inks, if you try this technique, they're likely to bleed outside of the lines, which is why I'll use an ink like this. So going back to that, you ink up a brayer, which is one of those round rolly things. In fact, I will even get mine and show it to you in case you don't know what a brayer is. Hang on. Mine is a bit old and tatty, but it is clean, and that is what a brayer looks like. So basically, you would take the lid off your ink, you get your brayer, and you just roll it all over. pop your dye down onto a piece of cardstock so that you're not putting, you know, permanent stays on ink onto your work surface. It will clean off with hand sanitizer. And then you just roll back and forth really gently across the surface, so that when you hold this by the edges and flip it over onto your white cardstock and run it through, what you're getting, because this area is raised, is a sort of letterpress effect, so that you push all of that red ink down into the embossing and you don't have to worry about such intricate colouring. Because if you look at how fine those lines are, and I'll get my finger in there, you can see just how tiny they are. So to be able to just run a brayer over heavily embossed dies like this will give you the effect of repeating what's exactly on the website. So there's a super close-up for you. And as you can see, if you use distress ink to do that, it's going to absorb into the paper. Have I got yuck on it again? Yes, I have. It's going to absorb into the paper and bleed outside of your emboss lines. So you don't really want that to happen. I've also used Cool Grey 1 on the feet there to cast a shadow from the dress, and also on the little puffy sleeves there. I used my white gel pen on her hair because that's how it looks on the website. But look at that bird. That little bird would fit on my little fingernail. Isn't it cute? Little blue bird. Clouds from the stash, and I've used a red heart. I usually grab loads of these. They're usually on the shelves in Dollar Tree just before Valentine's Day, and they're really soft and foamy. They do a bigger one than this, and the reason that I get them is because if you've got small dies and you want to cut even smaller hearts, then you can use this instead of glitter paper to cut sort of extra shapes and things out of, because it doesn't really sort of like shed heavily like that glitter back foam that you can get. So anyway, I've shared my calamity with you. I must say, I felt like a right idiot because I went to plug in the new one and I thought, well, where's the cord for my old one? I pulled the USB out. So anyway, we're back to usual, and I will be back tomorrow, and I hope that you like that. And I'll be back next Tuesday with a tutorial. But you have an awesome day. And as usual, all links below. Bye.